Good afternoon, Salem County. I'm Joe Pritchett, career counselor at your Salem Community College. Today, we continue our series of roundtable discussions with leaders and influencers in multiple employment fields here in Salem County. This is an opportunity for those doing career exploration, and particularly those who have found themselves out of work due to the COVID-19 pandemic, to learn more about the various career pathways available to our county's residents. In this session, we're going to spend a few minutes discussing options in the utilities and specifically at Atlantic City Electric. I'd like to introduce our guest today, Bert Lopez. Bert is the External Affairs Manager at Atlantic City Electric and serves as the chair of the Salem, Cumberland, and Cape May Workforce Development Board. Welcome, Bert. Thanks for being with me today. And I just want to give you a period of time to introduce yourself. Tell us about what you do, what your company does, what drives you, why do you like being there?
Hey, Joe, thank you for having me. I've been with Atlantic City Electric going on already over 40 years. I started out as a building attendant, which is the person who takes care of security, does the call out for the folks to go out and fix a pole that might be down. That job's eliminated now. Now we have contractors that do the cleaning, and we have a call center and a dispatch center that does all the dispatching. It's not done locally like in the old days, 40 years ago. But that's how I started. And I started out of high school, went back to school, got my associates in electronics, graduated on a Friday. I started working as an engineering assistant in system planning. I did my stay there for 2 years, went to accounting to help them out with some computer programming. They liked me, I guess, because they kept me, and I went back to school, got my bachelor's in accounting, and I became an accountant and the manager of accounting. And we went through several mergers, and I landed in this role, which I now have, which is the Senior External Affairs Manager for Atlantic City Electric. So I cover basically Salem, Cumberland, and Gloucester counties on my role.
Okay, all right.
It's been a very rewarding career, and it really fits my personality and what I like to do in terms of being involved and engaged in the community.
Good, yeah. So when we think about utilities in general, but and obviously your experience with Atlantic City Electric, what types of jobs and careers might someone pursue in your field?
Well, there's certainly a lot of different roles in the utility industry, and particularly Atlantic City Electric. The men and women that are out in the field, they're our base. They're the ones that come out in the middle of the night when there's a storm. They're the ones that are there keeping the power on for us. So we have a lot of those linemen careers, very rewarding careers. They start out as a helper. They then become an apprentice. And then they also go on to become a journeyman, a lineman, and make a pretty decent living. Right now, I have teamed up, given a grant to the Workforce Development Board, and they are providing some courses to help people who are interested in the industry to come on board. And you could reach out to your Workforce Development Board for some more of that information. But that's a very good career. In addition to that, there's engineers, there's accountants, every aspect that you could think of, environmental folks. The meter reading is no longer done by us. We subcontract that to a vendor, but we have the metermen, the people that go in and install the meters and fix meters, and we also have relay technicians, communications, the whole spear. It's it's a lot of career opportunities available. We do have a webpage to get more information. Just Google Atlantic City Electric careers, and it'll guide you to the Exelon page where you can see all the career opportunities that are available for Atlantic City Electric.
All right, very good. Obviously, you mentioned there's specific jobs in your field, and do you see much in the way of crossover? Like, are there other industries or something that if someone was working with you, would they be in demand in another industry?
Well, you before we got on the air, you mentioned about the governor's announcement of wind, solar, um, and certainly there's fields. There's uh, lineman work for the communications. And obviously, the back of the house fields, whether it's accounting or engineering, and others could carry over to other careers, other companies as well.
Sure. Okay. Um, what kind of education? Let's just talk about that education piece because you mentioned the apprenticeship and people moving into, through the ranks, basically. But working
Right.
with you, being trained there, are there educational paths that would be helpful for someone who wanted to get their foot in the door at a place like Atlantic City Electric?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and it depends on the job. But let's talk about the lineman, for example. That's the grant that we have with the Workforce Development Board. We're trying to get, particularly minority candidates, to have a bigger pool of minority candidates, prepare them to take the test that is needed to enter into the lineman school and be prepared. So one of the main things is out of high school, you don't necessarily need to have a technical degree, but it's good that you have that background. If you have a technology degree, basic electronics, and good with math, those will be the requirements. So you don't need anything beyond a high school diploma per se to become a lineman, to become a helper, and ultimately a journeyman and a lineman. Then obviously, if you become a engineer, you do have to have a bachelor's degree from an accredited university for electrical engineering, et cetera. We also have civil engineers, we have environmental scientists, et cetera. So it depends on what career path. In accounting, you want someone that's has a 4-year degree in accounting.
Okay. Yeah, you actually answered one of my questions before I even got a chance to ask it. When you mentioned engineering, I was going to ask if there were, obviously electrical was going to be one, but were there other types? You got to that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we've getting ready to build a substation, for example. You need all the trades there, basically, right? The engineering, the folks who are going to draft, the draftmen, and the environmental scientists that are going to make sure that we meet all the qualifications for that site, et cetera. So, yeah, there's a lot of career opportunities.
Good. If we're thinking about in terms of broadly thinking of various career fields, what does pay look like in your field, compared to other industries?
I would say it's probably at the high end in terms of pay. It certainly is a living wage of working for Atlanta City Electric. It's funny. I went to do a career day for 8th graders, and the first thing they asked me, does it pay a lot? And then the second question, do you have to work overtime? Do you have to work in the cold? Well, it's the lineman position is a very rewarding position. You do have to endure the elements working in construction. It is a construction job, but it's very rewarding as far as the pay and benefits.
Good. You mentioned the governor's announcement yesterday, the Windport project and all that. Do you feel like that's going to increase the opportunities in the utility fields short-term and long-term, or just short-term, or?
Oh, we already have a aging workforce. I mentioned I got 40 years, right? And a lot of the linemen, we do have an aging workforce. So there's already a need for utility workers across the nation. I think this is, even South Jersey Gas and other utilities have the same issue with an aging workforce. So there are many of these construction careers available within the utility industry. The announcement would probably create other job opportunities as well. So it's always very beneficial for the opportunities that are available for employment.
Good. Just some quick hitters real quick, just to want to talk about what we can do outside of education, experience, that kind of stuff to make sure we're ready to be employed by someone like Atlantic City Electric. Drug testing, is that a yes or a no, or sometimes with you?
Oh, that's a definite yes. There is drug testing before you get employed by Atlantic City Electric. Our men and women have to work in a safe environment. Safety is one of our core values, and certainly we want to make sure that our employees are safe and the public is safe.
How about high school diploma? Is there potential for someone with a GED to get hired? Is it like bottom line high school diploma? Obviously, we talked about some of the careers don't require college degrees and things like that, but what's the bottom line?
Well, that's a great question because I happen to be a GED graduate myself. So unfortunately, due to family circumstances, I wasn't able to finish my last year of high school. And I ended up getting a GED, went back, got my associates like I mentioned before, but I came in working for Atlantic City Electric with a GED.
Mm-hmm. What about today? Would they still consider that?
Yes. Yeah, it's a high school diploma. Again, as long as you have a high school diploma, is a minimum requirement for basically all jobs within the company. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a GED or a high school diploma, obviously you want to have the skills that are required for, particularly if you're going to get into the technical field like alignment, and there is a test that you have to take to qualify for entry into that position.
Okay. You mentioned earlier, like some math skills, probably some competency or at least some aptitude in working with tools and stuff like that if you're going to be a lineman. Any other skills that you see are important for someone to bring with them when they come into your environment?
Oh, good customer focus and being able to communicate effectively. Those are very important as well. And today, obviously, the soft skills of being dependable and reliable. It's something that you don't teach in school, but certainly if someone shows up late for the interview, they might be showing up late for the work. So those are important traits that you don't want to take for granted when you're applying for any position.
Yeah. Well, you and I know that since the days when we were in high school, technology has changed greatly. Do you see a pretty rapid change in the technology on a regular basis in your industry?
Yeah, maybe not as quickly. We still have the meters that been around for 100 years. We're hoping to go with smart meters in the future if we get approval from the Board of Public Utilities. The crisis that we're going through with COVID-19, this is why my beer is going right now. We're working from home, utilizing technology to the most extent possible. And we also are working on some new approaches like smart cities and other projects like that will be the way for the future.
Okay, good. Anything I've left out? Anything you think I should know as we wrap up today?
Well, one of the things that I always, when I talk career fairs and I talk to young people, one of the things I tell them is, look at your social media. How you portray yourself. If you have a social media that is not going to be attractive to an employer, you may want to start cleaning that up. What you do becomes public, becomes visible, and you have to worry about your presence. So that's an area that is often overlooked by many of our young people, and I tell them, hey, you want to take a look at that. Be a PR person for yourself. And the way you do that is make sure you clean up your social media.
Yeah. Yeah, I had that experience as an adult. you know, that social media platform that starts with F. Somebody tagged me in a picture that I wasn't even involved in. I was just in the background walking across behind them, and they tagged me, and their picture was inappropriate. So it's like,
Yeah.
no, that can't happen. So, but yeah, that's absolutely, you got to be vigilant about being on, you know, being aware of what your social media footprint is telling future employers. Well, Bert, I really appreciate you coming on with me today. I have great gratitude toward Atlantic City Electric. You guys helped me out with a 8th grade career exploration day back in February, and the group came in and just blew us away. Did such a fantastic job. I know you're doing good things in the community, and you know, I want to wish you well. I'm excited about what the future might hold for all utilities, but especially right now our electric utilities and Atlantic City Electric.
Yeah, thank you. Let me just put in a pitch for our folks that work at Atlantic City Electric. You mentioned some of the volunteer work that we do. We are a part of the community. Our employees are fully engaged. We do have, in fact, a program in place that we reward our employees for participating and volunteering out in the community. We also do corporate contributions to help good causes. Right now, we've certainly made some significant contributions to our community during this particular crisis. And many of our employees continue to volunteer and serve our community, which we're very proud of all everything that happens out there in the community, working with nonprofit organizations and making our community a better place.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. Thanks again for being on with me today. I think we can call that good and wrap it for here for now.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too, Bert. Thanks.